about this as I did before this conversation that we just had with the administration. For 2 days now, we've asked questions, many of which have not yet been fully answered.
We all agree that we're not dealing with a war hero. We're dealing with a soldier that should be looked in more extensively.
I learned nothing in this briefing, nor did I expect to learn anything in this briefing.
So the price we've paid is that we've empowered terrorists. We have undercut our efforts to secure Afghanistan. We have unleashed forces that will make it more likely that Americans will be kidnapped in the future. And we sent the worst possible signal to those who have been trying to change Afghanistan for the better.
And you hear right there the reactions of different senators. A briefing after the fact, John, by the Obama administration about the prisoner swap, something that by law the Obama administration was supposed to inform key members of the Senate and Congress about. Speaking of key members of Congress, we're happy to be joined now by my old colleague, Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, with more on this Bergdahl prisoner swap. Now, Ileana, what on earth was going on here? Why wasn't Congress informed about this exchange?
Well, J.D., thanks so much for the opportunity. I love always being with you. It's always great to hear your wonderful voice. Well, I think this is part of this exchange is part of the routine of President Obama, where he sees a law and he takes it as a suggestion. And he has these signing statements that he so vehemently criticized President Bush for doing. And that is, for the folks who don't know, when you sign a bill into law, then you will have a little aside, like a Shakespearean whisper in a play, saying, "Oh yeah, but I don't intend to uphold this law and put it into practice." And that's what the president did when he signed one of the versions of NDAA. He said, which specifically states 30-day notification, not just for key members of Congress, for Congress to know what's going on. And as Speaker Boehner has said, J.D., and the administration, from security, national security officials, intelligence officials, many others have said, as a chair, I was briefed along with other chairs of pertinent committees and ranking members, that means the top Democrat, on the possibility of this swap for Bergdahl in 2011. And at that time, I was chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and I opposed quite strongly swapping members of the Taliban and negotiating with terrorists, and I maintain that position today. That's why I think that this is just a terrible mistake for national security, putting the lives of our men and women in uniform at risk, because the terrorists want to clean out Guantanamo. They want their brothers released from Gitmo, and now they've seen, oh, I see, one soldier equals 5 of our brothers in arms released. Well, then not only have they always wanted to kill us, but now there's an extra added incentive to hold our guys as prisoners and capture them as hostages. So
well, Ileana, let's go back to 2011 when you chaired the House Committee on Foreign Affairs. When you were part, if I'm not mistaken, of the Intelligence Committee, you heard about this. You opposed it. We're hearing reports after the fact that John Clapper, the intelligence director, likewise opposed it, and so did Leon Panetta. So, Ileana, what changed, do you believe, in the collective mind of the administration?
That is an excellent question. That is the key question, J.D., because Leon Panetta was both Department of Defense Secretary as well as CIA Director, maintained his position against this swap then, and so many years later, still today, is against it. Yet why are the folks in the administration and the intelligence community especially, why are they now seeing this as not a problem and almost as a business as usual, when in fact it is setting a precedent, it is dangerous, it puts our men and women in uniform at risk? And if the president wants to continue with his position of wanting to clean out Guantanamo and shut it down, I hope that he's not going to be using our men and women in uniform as bargaining chips to accomplish that goal that he has not been able to accomplish. Because J.D., if we capture one of those evil guys again, the very people we just freed on the battlefield, where do we put them? Wherever it is that we put them, that's going to be the next Gitmo, because you've got to put them somewhere. Better that they're offshore and not a threat to the U.S.
Well, Congresswoman, we see a video of the president right here speaking in Europe, but earlier we saw a video of the senators who came out of that briefing from the White House, and we heard some of them say, in fact, that the president broke the law by his actions. If that proves to be the case, how do you think that should be handled by Congress?
Well, we've been having this battle for so long now with the imperial presidency, with Obamacare being the most flagrant example, and we haven't quite gotten a handle on it yet, because he keeps passing the laws even with our opposition, and yet he changes anything that he wishes to change, and using the same signing statements that he so criticized President Bush for doing. Everything that he said as a senator, he just flipped it now that he's president and says, who, me? Oh, well, those things are different now. Now I'm the cool guy in charge, so you can trust me. So Congress does not trust the president. We hope that we will not only keep our majority in the House, increase it, and take over the Senate, and we hope that this scenario will change. And the public has to keep holding the president's feet to the fire. The public, we the people, those are the ones who ultimately decide.
And
Well,
there is that election coming up, of
There
course.
is an election coming up, but before we can get to that election, when you have uniformed personnel in harm's way, when you have the president making a major pronouncement on a change in foreign policy and national security to the graduating class at West Point that we saw a couple of weeks ago, and now you have this kind of prisoner swap. I just have to get back to this, and I want to get back to your situation. You first heard about it in 2011. There was widespread opposition to it. Now that it's happened, we are seeing reports, I believe it was Time magazine on its website, getting in touch with an unnamed Taliban leader saying, well, now that this has happened, are you going to go after more Americans? The quote in the Time piece on their website was this unidentified Taliban leader chuckled and said, definitely. Do you believe this swap puts more American military in harm's way?
Absolutely. And you know what's interesting about this classified briefing in 2011, and I wouldn't even be talking about it because it was classified, and I didn't say a word until now, but administration officials have acknowledged that it took place kind of as a justification. They're saying, we briefed members of Congress. No, they told us about this, and we said, no, heck no, very strongly no. Speaker Boehner strongly said no. All of the chairmen of the relevant committees, there were about 5 or 6. I don't want to speak for the Democrats, but I can tell you that the Republicans were dead set against it, and the briefers said, we hear you loud and clear. We thought that this was a done deal, settled, that they knew there was strong opposition. I would say bipartisan opposition, but I don't want to speak for the Democrats. And still, they went ahead and did it and then they strung out this narrative. Oh, his health was at risk. Well, now we've got conflicting reports about his health, and that's not the case. It looks like he is going to be fine. And they're just, when you don't tell the truth the first time, the story gets all muddled. And if they would just tell the truth, or if they would have done it in a non-fanfare way, but there was a president in a Rose Garden ceremony with the parents, trying to tug at your heartstrings. And then, it seems like a feel-good story. They are so out of touch that they thought it was a feel-good story. The president then heads off to Europe, and everything blows up in their face, and the narrative has shifted a lot, and his unit guys are saying, hey, he's not the hero you think he is. But I don't even want to talk about whether he's a hero or not. The point is, the president broke the law. The law is clear, and it seems that no matter what we do, he's going to do what he wishes to do with anything that we pass.
Only time for one more question real quickly, about a minute to
yeah,
go,
only time because I've got grandkids here running around.
There were reports yesterday from the AP that the White House did not notify Congress because they were concerned about leaks. In just about 30 seconds, if I could get your reaction to that.
Absolutely not. As I said, this was a classified briefing in 2011. No one said a darn word until the administration put out word. Oh, we notified Congress in 2011, and then then all of us started to speak and say, yeah, you did. And we said, no, don't do it. We don't leak. The administration leaks when it's in their favor.
And as you said, clearly the president here, in your opinion, broke the law.
Ileana
Thank you, you
Ros-Lehtinen,
bet.
we do appreciate your time. We know that you're multitasking not only as a congresswoman, but as a grandma, taking care of your grandkids today. So we thank you very much, and we'll let you go to help ensure domestic tranquility there as you're taking care of the grandkids. And I was there in a different situation when our two younger kids were really young. I can recall doing talk radio interviews, taking kids to school, and getting that same type of reaction. But the volume raised by Ileana's grandkids, I think, approximates what we're hearing out of Congress now in terms of shouts of protest and concern about how this entire deal went down.
Sure, and a human moment. Members of Congress, just like the rest of us, with
That's
kids
exactly
and
right.
responsibilities at home.
And we are going to come back to talk more about this, specifically our friend Pete Hoekstra with the Daily Intelligence Brief next on America's Forum.